In this video, we will show you how to replace the barrel and caliber of the Epic One. First, we will remove the internal silencer, or if we have the 700mm barrel version, we will remove the end cap of the barrel. After removing the silencer, we will remove the front part of the shroud. We can loose it using a barrel tensioning tool or using two pins that are included in the accessory with your rifle. We insert the tool and loosen the front part. After loosening, we remove the tool and also the front adapter. And again, either using the steel pin that is included in the accessories or using the barrel removal tool with the pin, we loosen the clamp that centers the barrel. It is enough to loosen it by about a turn, just to loosen the grip of the barrel. At this point, we can loosen the barrel with a size wrench key number 13. After loosening the barrel, we do not pull the barrel out immediately, but we remove the O-ring that is in this part of the barrel. At this point, we remove the O-ring mainly using a hook or tweezers. We pick up the O-ring and turn with a barrel a little to make it easier to remove the O-ring. This is a 10x1.8 NBR 70 O-ring. At this point, we do not pull the barrel out yet, but we push the barrel against the transfer port and screw the barrel into the transfer port about 2-3 turns. We do this so that we can then remove the transfer port from the body of the rifle. Next, we will loosen the cheek piece and move it forward to get access for these two screws. They are sealed with Loctite. If there is a big resistance to loosen them, it is a good idea to heat the screws a little with a heat gun or a fan. We release the screw and remove it completely. We do the same on the other side. At this point, there is a pin in the hole that is fixing a transfer port, so we push it out from one side using an Allen key or a pin. When we have the pin removed, we cannot yet pull the barrel with the transfer port out of the body. The point is that for rifles with a power limited to 16 joules or for other countries where the energy limit is, we have to release this part with the power limitation before removing the transfer port. So from the other side, we loosen the screw. Push it, the cube will come out, and we can remove the limiter. If we have an insert with a smaller hole in the rifle with a power limitation, we must first remove the insert. But if we have an insert with a large hole that has the inscription MAX on it, we can leave it in the body of the rifle and we can remove the transfer port with the insert in the body of the rifle. It is not possible to remove it only with an insert with a power limitation. At this point, we can pull out the barrel, but we are careful on the transfer port. There is still one O-ring that can either remain on the transfer port or inside the rifle. If it is not on the transfer port, we can take it out from this side using a hook or tweezers. If it remains on the transfer port, we just use the hook to take it out of the transfer port again so that it does not get stuck somewhere when we take it out. Again, this is the same 10x1.8 NBR70 ring. At this point, we can completely remove the barrel with the transfer port from the rifle. This way, we have removed the transfer port from the barrel as well. Once the transfer port is removed from the barrel, we can remove the pellet probe. We remove the pellet probe by cocking the rifle and engaging the safety. At this point, the cocking lever is completely free and the spring with the hammer is not acting on it. Using a 6mm Allen key, loosen the back cover and remove the pellet probe. Move the cocking lever to the rear position. You will see 2 screws in this hole, and between them is a set screw that secures the pellet probe. First, we will take out the M3X50 screw with the accessories and screw it into the probe from the back. There is a thread in the probe, so we just take the screw and screw into the probe. 2 threads are enough. We use that so we can remove the probe from the rifle. We have a screw, we find a set screw, and we can loosen it. We don't have to remove the screw from the rifle. We just pull the probe and loosen it until we can remove the probe from the rifle. At this point, we'll show you how to reinstall the new barrel kit. First, we'll take the barrel and the transfer port. We'll only attach the transfer port to the barrel with 2 or 3 threads just to fit the transfer port into the body of rifle. We take the transfer port, put it on 2 or 3 threads. Take a 10x1.8 NBR70 O-ring, lightly grease the O-ring, and put it on the front part of the transfer port. And we can push the barrel with the transfer port into the rifle, up to this rear part. We move the transfer port roughly to this part. We check if the O-ring on the transfer port has not been damaged again, and at the same time we find the correct position of the transfer port. The point is to point the groove on the transfer port upwards and the hole downwards. So we align it like this and slide the transfer port all the way into the body so that the groove on the transfer port fits with the hole in this part. So we push it in. For rifles where we have the insert with the AMAX inscription, we do not have to remove the insert and we can push the transfer port all the way to the rear position. For rifles with limited power, we must always have the insert removed from the rifle so that we cannot push the transfer port all the way to the rear position. When we have the transfer port pushed in, we look through the hole to make sure that we have the groove in the correct position on the transfer port, and we can secure the transfer port with a pin. We insert the pin. We can either tap the pin with something harder or with a mallet. And use the screw that comes with the accessory to countersink the screw by about 1 millimeter or 2. so that we can get to the thread and secure it with a screw. We should apply a drop of Loctite or thread sealant to the screw to seal it and prevent slight blowing of air. It does not affect performance or anything else, it is just unpleasant. We tighten the screw at the same level of the surface of the main block and do the same on the other side. We tighten both screws. We will check if screws are not sticking out, and we can put the O-ring on the barrel. So we loosen the barrel, pull it to this position, and again we can either use a string or move the air tank to put the O-ring on the barrel. Now we will show a variant using two strings. We will take an O-ring 10x 1.8 NBR 70. We will put on one string, the other string. We will move the barrel to this position. We pass the string around the barrel towards the other side and put it on by stretching the O-ring, putting it on the barrel from above, pulling it down a little and then to the back to put the O-ring on. So up, down, and to the back, and we have the O-ring on. We can take out the strings. And using a hook, or we can just go from the strings, just move the ring into the groove behind the thread. So we grab the hook and move it behind the groove. We mainly twist it a little so that the O-ring fits better and does not get damaged. So if we have the O-ring in the groove, we can push the barrel to the transfer port and we start tightening the barrel. When the O-ring goes into the body of the rifle, we can start tightening the barrel using a 13 mm wrench key. And we tighten the barrel. When it's no longer easy, we just pull a little harder, and when we feel that the barrel is tightened all the way, we stop tightening. The barrel is tightened. Again, using a pin or a handle with a pin, we tighten the centering clamp of the barrel. We don't have to use too much force, just tighten it all the way in. At this point, we can put on the shroud. The front part adapter for the silencer and tighten it either with a pins or a wrench key. The factory setting or tightening is set to 10 Newton meters. So we take a torque wrench, set it to 10 Newton meters, and tighten it. And now we can just put on the end cap or silencer and the barrel is replaced. This way we have the barrel with the transfer port completely installed and we can install the pellet probe. But before that we will insert airflow reductor into the rifle. We just need to be careful not to turn the insert by 90 degrees. Here we have the AMAX inscription with a larger hole so that we can read the inscription. If we turn it, we will limit the airflow. It is possible to reduce the power a little this way. We insert it and secure it with a screw on the other side. This way we have it secured and we can insert the pellet probe. First, we will cock the rifle and set the safe ON. We take the pellet probe for the given caliber, the M3X50 screw, which is included in the accessories. We put the probe on the screw. 2 or 3 turns are enough. At this point, we can find the position of the set screw from the top again between the 2 screws. We insert the probe into the rifle. There is a hole on the probe, which we must point upwards so that we can screw it into it. We try to hold the probe as straight as possible, with the hole facing upwards. The hole is through, and it doesn't matter if we put it this way or that way. It just has to face upwards. We hold the cocking lever so that we don't push the probe forward to cock it. We just hold the lever, push the probe, and tighten the set screw. We have to be careful that we really screw the set screw into the hole and not onto some flat part of the probe. Otherwise, the probe could fly out after a few shots. We tighten it. Loosen the screw. Remove the Allen key. We tighten the set screw with sensitivity. We don't need to use a lot of force just to prevent it from coming loose. At this point, we hold the cocking lever, discharge the rifle. Cover it with the cap at the back and tighten it. We test whether the probe goes well into the transfer port, whether it doesn't rub anywhere. If it seems to us that the probe is sticking to one side, we can slightly align the probe using the 2 screws in the upper part. We do this by cocking the rifle, securing, taking a 2.5 mm Allen key, and here in the back there are 2 screws that hold the probe in place. We really loosen it a little. All we need to do is feel the screw loosen. Then we tighten it just a little, really very little, and push the pellet probe into the transfer port. By loosening both screws, the probe is slightly loose, and inserting into the transfer port, it will be straightened out and we can tighten the screws back. Again, we tighten them lightly first, both of them, and we try the cocking operation again. When it doesn't rub, we tighten the screws with more force, and this way we have the probe aligned with the transfer port. Then all we have to do is move the cheek piece to the correct position and secure it. This way we have replaced caliber on the Epic One.